Don't do it, I told Bretto in a warning tone, not even looking up from my burger. The new security officer had curled up his raptorial appendages in disgust at the human food, but I had been stationed on X-51 long enough to have learned to love the odd cuisine of our galactic neighbors. Said cuisine was why I had brought Bretto to what the humans called the station's food court. But Blipe, it's pink, he said quietly, one of his eyes moving a bit to glance at the new human who had sat at one of the tables a few feet away with a couple other of the bipedal species. Bretto's own dark red chitin marked him as a warrior, while my own blue had set me on the path for bureaucracy. Yes, she is, I said, emphasizing the appropriate pronoun. Bretto clearly didn't have much, if any, exposure to aliens, which was going to be a problem on a customs and border station like X-51. But a human is not a chroma, and their skin color doesn't mean the same as our chitin. But Blipe, she's speckled, he protested again before taking a bite of his baked Crassius fish. The human had begun chatting amiably with a couple others, ones with darker complexions that someone like Bretto wouldn't confront recklessly. Them I knew, Leroy and Javier, but the woman must have been one of the many cargo pilots that passed through the station. Yes, I can see that, I said, talking to Bretto in much like I would a hatchling, but again, a human is not a chroma. Their patterns don't mean the same thing as they do for us. Bretto's solid color, except for a slight gradient to black at the edges of his shell segments, marked him as a pure fighter, one of the fiercest of the Chroman Alliance, and not someone any other chroma would want to piss off. My own iridescent stripes placed me as an administrator. I might have even been able to go into politics if I had wanted, though I lacked the rainbow hue of nobility, let alone the shine of royalty. But she's got orange antenna, Bretto said, seemingly less concerned with discretion now. He had been loud enough that the humans looked over, though I wasn't sure if their translators caught what my tablemate had said, let alone the context. Keep your voice down, I admonished mildly, and Bretto had the good grace to look chagrined, the colors of his chitin becoming muted with embarrassment. It's called hair, and I won't tell you again. A human is not a chroma. Their hair color doesn't mean what antenna does for us. They even dye it just for cosmetic reasons. Bretto's antennae were as red as the rest of him, showing his focus and combat readiness. He wouldn't even make a good scout, so intent was he on fighting. My own were green, which I was proud of, as it showed how much I had studied nonverbal communication, a must when dealing with aliens, especially ones like the humans. Just leave the human alone or you'll regret it. No, Bretto said, his antenna waving back and forth in disbelief. He unfolded his 6 walking legs to stand. I've figured it out. You're messing with me. You think you're so much smarter than me that you can make me believe anything about some weird alien. I mean, come on, they don't even have a shell. I moved my antenna up and down to show my resignation. Fine, do what you want, but keep in mind that you've been warned and will be solely responsible for the consequences of your own actions. Bretto walked over to the humans' table, and Leroy, the man who had told me to simplify his skin color to black, looked at me. I waved my antenna again, showing him I had tried to warn Bretto and had been ignored. So how much does she charge for a night? He asked the 2 men, ignoring the woman completely. What the fuck? The woman exclaimed, shooting up to her full height. She stood eye to eye with Bretto, making her short for a human, but no less formidable for it. I saw what Bretto clearly missed, that her face was rapidly turning red with anger, though the brown speckles still showed through. Siobhan, hold on, Javier said, standing to move between her and Bretto. He's new, just got to the station today. His supervisor is right there, and I'm sure the Chroma HR is going to give him a write-up. Don't pick a fight. I ain't picking a fight. That overgrown shrimp cocktail just called me a whore. Of course you are, Bretto said, making me sigh. Look at yourself. How could you be anything else? Look, new guy, Leroy said, trying to gently push Bretto back, though the warrior wouldn't let himself be moved. You're, well, new, so we're giving you a pass on this one. But what you just said is extremely offensive. So just apologize to Siobhan and let Blipe take you back to the office for orientation. Better yet, you giant prawn. Get your sorry ass back to whatever backwater fen you crawled out of. I sighed, knowing what was about to happen. It seemed to happen every time some new red shell got transferred out here. Javier and Leroy knew too, both moving quickly out of the way. Bretto punched the human, the crack of his front appendage connecting with her face loud even in the large room. "Fucking hell!" Siobhan exclaimed, her head rocking back from the force of a chroma punch. She sniffed in that unusual way that humans had, then touched her hand to under her nose, her fingers coming away red. "Fuck you too, then!" She lashed out with a punch of her own, much slower than Bretto's, but with so much more power behind it. To Bretto's credit, he did try to step back, but chroma aren't that agile out of the water. There was a crunch as she connected with the middle of his thoracic section, and he hit the ground hard, wheezing for breath. I walked over as Javier held Siobhan back and told Leroy I'd reimburse them for their meals, and waive Siobhan's docking fee, then looked down at Bretto. "You see, Bretto, a human is not a chroma. The thing to know with humans is they're all red on the inside.